ශ්‍රී වර්ධනපුර උරුමයක අරුමය ලොවට කියා පානා ඓතිහාසික කැන්ද උඩරට ඇසළ මහා පෙරහර මංගල්‍යයේහි අවසන් කුඹල් පෙරහර වීදි සංචාරය කරන දිනය අද. අද පසරු 6:43ට යෙදුණු සුබ මුහුර්තයට දකුණු දිශාභිමුඛව පෙරහර ගමන් ආරම්භ කළා. අද දවසේ පෙරහර මංගල්‍යය නරඹන්නට අතිවිශාල ජනගංගාවක් මහනුවර නගරයට ඇදී සිටින අයුරු අපිට දකින්නට පුළුවන්. විශේෂයෙන්ම අද විවේකී ඉරිදා දිනයක් නිසා සදැහැතියන් බැති සිතින් පෙරහර නරඹන්නට පෙරහර මඟ දෙපස වීදි පුරා රැඳී ඉන්නවා. ධාතුක කරඬුව වඩම්මන්නට වාසනාව හිමි වන්නේ රුහුණු කතරගම මහා දේවාලයට අයත් වාසනා හස්තිරාජයාට. ඒ වගේමයි දෑල ඇතුන් ලෙස ශ්‍රී දලදා මාලිගා ඇත් පන්තිය නියෝජනය කරන සිංහ රාජා සහ පුලතිස් රාජා හස්තීන් පෙරහරේ තේජාන්විතව ගමන් කරනවා ඇති. ඒත් එක්කම අද දවසේ මේ අවසන් කුඹල් පෙරහර දලදා වීදිය ඔස්සේ පහළට ගමන් කොට යටිනුවර වීදිය ඔස්සේ ගමන් කරමින් නැවතත් දලදා වීදිය ඔස්සේ ගමන් කරන පෙරහර යටිනුවර වීදිය ඔස්සේ පහළට ගමන් කරලා රජ වීදියෙන් ඉහළට ගෙවදින්නට නියමිතයි. ඒ වගේමයි මහනුවර නගරයට පෙරහර නරඹන්නට පැමිණෙන්නට නොහැකි වුණු සදැහැති ඔබ වෙනුවෙන් ශ්‍රී දලදා මාලිගා මාධ්‍ය කාර්යාංශයේ මේ සජීව රූදසුන් සමීප කරන්නට සූදානමින් ඉන්නවා. අප ආරාධනය කරන ඔබට බැතිසිත උපදවාගෙන නිවසේ සිට මේ සජීව විකාශනයත් සමගින් ඒකාත්මික වන්නට. கோஷி
நன்றி பிரபா. பக்த அடியார்கள் அனைவருக்கும் அன்பு வணக்கம். கண்டி அசல பிரகரனுடைய இறுதி கும்பல் பிரகரா வீதி வலம் வந்து கொண்டிருக்கின்றது. கண்டி மாநகரை சூழ்ந்துள்ள அனைவரையும் வருக வருக என வரவேற்பதுடன் இக்காட்சிகளை நேரடியாக காண முடியாதவர்கள் டயலாக் தொலைக்காட்சி 20, POTV 20-310, ஃப்ரீசட் 2 மற்றும் ஸ்ரீ தலதா மாளிகையினுடைய ஃபேஸ்புக், யூடியூப் பக்கங்களினூடாக நேரலையாக கண்டுகளிக்க முடியும். சந்துலி, இதோ உங்களுக்கான.
Thank you, Goshi. Tonight, the sacred city of Kandy is ready for another glorious crescendo. A night which is believed by the nation to bring forth prosperity, spiritual protection and good health. So we invite you all to the heart of Kandy to witness this procession live. And for those of you who are at home, tune into Daluk TV channel number 20, POTV channel number 20, 310, FreeSat channel number 2, and all the official social media platforms of Sri Dalada Maligawa. Let your hearts be still, let your spirits be lifted. This is the 5th and the last Kumbal Perahera of Sri Dalada Perahera 2025.
Dalada Samindu Pihitai. We are delighted to welcome you to the special live broadcast of the 5th Kumbal Perahera of Kandy Esala Perahera 2025, brought to you by the Media and Special Projects Bureau of Sri Dalada Maligawa, Kandy.
You are now seeing the Perahera officials obtaining the permission and the blessing of the Adorned Nilame, the latest guardian of the sacred tooth relic, before commencing their streets perambulations.
This is the handing over of keys by the Adorned Nilame to the officiating bhikkhus. Now the Adorned Nilame will be making his way from the upper level, Ihalamalaya, to the lower level of the chamber known as Pathamalaya of the Vadisitina Maligaya, and he is seen ceremoniously and reverentially carrying the Perahera casket under the protection of the custodian venerating prelate of Malvatu Mahaviharaya, Venerable Tibbatuave Shri Medankarabidana Nayakathero towards the ceremonial Tusker. Under much veneration, amidst the offering of light, sounds, scents and flowers all the way until the upper chamber till it's placed on the awaiting Tusker.
Are now seeing the Perahera casket, which contains 32 relics of Lord Buddha being placed within the run helicade that is mounted on the lavishly costumed Tusker, who will uplift the majesty of this great procession.
These officials are seen offering flowers and floral garland to the Perahera casket, and this is the fifth and final Kumbal Perahera of Kandy Esala Perahera 2025. This is the devout moment when the royal Tusker shall step majestically down from the Mahavahal Kada, the main entrance to the Sandagala, the moonstone, amidst the tune of traditional Naga Singaram music in preparation to parade the streets of the Kandian city. You are now witnessing the special live broadcast of the 5th Kumbal Perahera via the Media and Special Projects Bureau of Sri Dalada Maligawa, Kandy. Walking up front with the sound of thundering whips piercing through the skies are the whip masters, announcing that the procession has commenced, and these whip masters are tasked with clearing the way for the sacred relic casket and the king.
This troop of whip crackers are led by Mr. Upali Jairatna.
When looking back at history in the ancient times, it was the ruling king who would parade the streets in the Perahera. But now, it is the Adorned Nilame, the lay custodian of the sacred tooth relic of Lord Buddha, who will resemble the king in the modern day Perahera.
The Perahera is believed to be held in the prayer for timely rainfall, and the elements of the Perahera is structured in a symbolic way that is painted the imagery of a rainfall. Rain would never be showered without the striking sound of thunder, and these whip wielders are the symbolic imagery to depict the sound of lightning and thundering to pay homage to the rain gods, requesting to bless our crops and cultivations with the rain.
Nethmini, if you look closely, it can be noticed how these whip masters are untying the knots that are formed when whipping. And this is a symbolic to the various problems that we in our life journey, where we too spend a careful expense of mind in untying our problems down our own walk, down the journey of life.
Obviously, Kanishka, it can be noticed how these whip masters are untying the knots that are formed with the whipping, and that is symbolic to the various problems that we face in this journey of life.
Many onlookers who are seated around the city of Kandy to witness this Perahera can be seen throwing thousands of coins to the streets in the belief that this practice will ward off any evil from their loved ones and for the blessings from the sacred tooth relic.
This is a beautiful tradition that highlights the basis for giving, offering and sharing among the people of our land. Sri Lankans are among the top of the world giving index that is indeed an outcome from the social influence of Lord Buddha's teaching.
The whipmaster's duty is handed down from generation to generation of their clans, and the ones who have mastered the art of whip cracking will be taken to participate in the Kandy Esala Perahera. According to traditions, a Perahera which does not have this pedigree are not even being called such. In a single file, we see the whip masters carefully manipulating their whips that is nearly 7 feet in length and is made fully out of natural materials. And these materials are known as Niyanga and Navapatta, which indicates how these traditions have preserved. And these authentic methods have not changed throughout the parading history of 1715 years.
Up next, we are seeing the fire acrobats who are led by Mr. E.D. Tilakaratna.
Nethmini, rain does not come with thunder alone. Just as lightning flashes across the skies, the procession too has its flashes of light, dancing across the faces of the people lining the streets to watch these perambulation. These are the fire dancers who are offering fire, inviting the rain gods to water our lands.
Even though it seems a very paradox to learn that we are offering fire to seek for water, this phenomenon of nature is magnificently depicted by this group of fireball dancers who perform this thrilling stunt of acrobatics while illustrating how lightning comes with the rain.
The fireball dance is performed in 3 levels that are known as the Binthalaya low level, Madathalaya mid level, and Ahasthalaya the sky level. That is definitely the highlighted episode of the fireball dance that is performed standing on each other in great discipline and balance.
Back in history, Kandy and performing arts have been classified into 5 variants which were known as Vahala Ilangama, Singakari Ilangama, Thambarapittukari Ilangama, Nattu Milangama, and Kavikara Maduwa. Interestingly, it was the king's order that all 5 of these classifications must be performed in the Perahera, which is the order that is still being obeyed since the ancient times till the modern days.
Nethmini, it is important to notice that the sun, moon, earth, universe, solar month, night and day are all cyclic, and the fireball dance highlight these universal cycles while depicting how they burn and cool us in our life cycles. The dancers also paint the fierce cycle of samsara, that is flooded with desire, ignorance and anger that are highlighted by these chakras.
Here we can see the oil-soaked rags are tied to an iron wheel with a leather thong attached to it, and once they leap, the dancers perform their acrobatic dance by turning these fired wheels fast, gradually increasing its speed to match the real feeling of lightning itself.
The splendor of the dance is seen when a large group of them perform simultaneously, merging their various fierce elements into an amazing display of light and heat. The tradition is handed down from generation to generation, with the individuals of all ages, from the very young to the very old, taking part in the display of this priceless and cultural heritage of their clans. And Nithmini, the dancers are seen creating their paintings of fire across the night sky as they move in the procession. And for the children, it is the fire play, but for the experienced elders, it is a devout and committed fire offering.
Kanishka, now we are seeing the Buddhist flag bearers who are the intimates of the Pallekele open prison camp.
Who are clad in white national costumes, who carry the most respected flag of Buddhism while being preceded by the national flag of Sri Lanka. The sight of these Buddhist flag bearers create a sense of tranquility among the spectators, reminding us that the fact that this procession is in celebration, devotion, and an offering to great Lord Buddha.
A priority of Kandy Esala Perahera is to reflect the unity of Sri Lanka as a nation, which is here symbolized by the national flag that was leading the army of flags.
The Buddhist flag is a symbol of faith and peace. The 6 colors of the flag represent the colors of the aura that emanated from the body of Lord Buddha when he attained enlightenment under the sacred Bodhi tree. The horizontal stripes represent the races of the world living in harmony, while the vertical stripes represent eternal world peace.
The colors displayed in the Buddhist flag represent the perfection of Buddhahood and the Dhamma, his preachings. The symbolic identities of these colors are illustrated as blue for universal compassion, yellow for the middle path, red for the blessings, white for purity and liberation, and orange for the unshakable wisdom.
Walking in great discipline, in their calm and disciplined nature, are the army of sword bearers who provide protection to the Perahera casket.
This army of sword bearers are the Angampura team from Sri Lanka Air Force.
Clad in the white sarong and a white headdress, these armies seen carrying the raised swords, not in warfare, but in a disciplined walk of calm serenity. The symbolic idea of these sword bearers is the historic protection that is provided to the utmost sacred truth relic.
Now we can see the very first tusker of the procession, who is the Janaraja Tusker from Sri Dalada Maligawa.
Now we see the most magnificent sight of the Perahera, which is the first arrival of the very first elephant, who will be carrying the Peramune Rala. It is the norm of the Perahera that the Peramune Rala, or the front runner of the procession, is the first person on the elephant back, and neither officials nor elephants are permitted to parade before the Peramune Rala. This is the arrival of the very first Havisi troupe that represents the official ensemble, who are permanently seconded to the service of Sri Dalada Maligawa. They performed in a dignified presence in front of the procession as a tradition which they practice with majestic skill. In fact, no Panchaturiya Vadana or traditional orchestra of Sinhalese music that produce sounds using either drums or other musical instruments is permitted before Havisi.
Is rich with its own genres of traditional music, and Havisi, which is dignified as the authentic sound of Sri Lanka. The history of Havisi takes back to the time when the sapling, the giant Sri Mahabodhi tree, was brought down by Sangamittarani, and this evidence marks the fact that Havisi is the oldest traditional orchestra and Buddhist sound offering in Sri Lankan heritage.
Havisi, as the most prominent orchestra of the five-pole musical instruments, too has its own variants that are authentic to various parts of the country, known as the Upcountry, Low Country, and Sabaragamuwa. The speciality of Kandy Esala Perahera is the pure dominance of upcountry traditional arts, where This particular Hevisi instrumental performance belongs to the upcountry tradition of Hevisi, which is known as Udarata Hevisi in Sinhalese.
The fivefold musical instruments, as recognized by Sri Lankan musical culture as Panchathuryanada, is noted as Athatha instruments played by both hands. Vitatha instruments are played using sticks. Vitatathatha instruments played using hand and stick. Gana instruments that are dashed with each other, and Sushira instruments that are blown. The fifth and last Kumbal Perahera today will be proceeding along the Dalada Street, Yatinora Street, and then onto the King Street and return to the Temple of the Sacred Tooth Relic. Riding on the second elephant with dignified majesty is the Gajanayake Nilame of Sri Dalada Maligawa. Today, the Gajanayake Nilame is on Tharaka elephant from Rankadu Patini Devale, Kaduwela. The Gajanayake Nilame is the royal official in charge of the king's troop of elephant, and it was the position given to him directly by the king himself.
And with that, we see Bulat Pada, which is one of the most serene dance performances of the upcountry dance tradition, which provides a welcoming gesture to the audience. The dancers carry a heap of betel leaves on a white cloth with both their hands and dance in style and discipline using their footwork to the tune of the Gata Berea.
Today, the Bulat Pada dancing team is led by Mr. Nalin Jayasekara from Sri Dalada Maligawa.
The Bulat Pada is in fact a ritualistic dance that is performed in healing rituals or Shanti Karma across upcountry, low country and Sabaragama traditions. And here we are seeing the upcountry version of the Bulat Pada.
Country version of the Bulat Pada, which is originated from the Kohomba Kankariya healing ritual as one of the 4 Hat Pada or 7 dance episodes that comprise of Bulat Pada, Kotala Pada, Mal Pada, Salu Pada, Pol Pada, Yahan Mutti Pada and Anguru Dummala Pada.
Indeed, Nethmini, the motive of the Bulat Pada dance is to welcome the gods to the ritualistic arena known as the Malyahana. In fact, this is performed by a single artist who is the chief dancer dressed in the West costume as part of the custom of the Kohomba Kankariya. But since the Perahera is a performing art based on event, we see the same Bulat Pada ritual being choreographed into a group dance.
We are now seeing the Kandula Veera elephant from Sangapitiya Vihara, who is mounted a Buddhism flag.
The cooling breeze that blows from the surrounding, from the Udavata forest on the right and from the Kandy lake on the left, certainly creates the feel of how nature too contributes to Perahera by displaying its unmatched unique forms of beautiful to this Perahera that shall bless our country.
We are now seeing the Polmal dance by Nelligala International Buddhist Center, which is led by Mr. Chaminda Vikramasinghe.
The Malpade dance performance, which is also known as the Polmal, Malhatpade and Madu Poraya, is a ritualistic dance performance that has its own variants across the traditions of upcountry, low country and Sabaragamuwa. And this act is also the tradition that comes from the upcountry from the Kohomba Kankariya healing ritual. The polmala or the coconut flower is the flower that blossoms from the traditional coconut tree, the national tree of bounty, which denotes prosperity. In fact, the national ensemble of Sri Lanka too consists of this vase of coconut flowers. The vase of coconut flowers, which is also known as Punkalasa, that is considered as the national symbol of prosperity. This Malpadaya dance consists of dancers who hold the polmala, the national symbol of prosperity, with both hands, while sincerely presenting the same bounty in their dance to showcase their dedication and devotion to this grand perambulation.
Now we can see the Salia elephant.
And on his mount we can see two brass umbrella officials holding them to give this beautiful Perahera a sort of magnificent protection where they seek the blessings from the gods. And with that we see the first troupe of Naiyandi dancers in the fifth and final Kumbal Perahera.
This troupe of Naiyandi dancers are led by Mr. Vasantha Gunatilaka and Mr. Vasantha Rajangana.
The Naiyandi dance is one of the most significant dance performances of the upcountry tradition that holds a very prominent position in the Kandy Esala Perahera, especially during the Kumbal Perahera festivities.
The word Naiyandi is in fact the name of costume that is worn by the Naiyandi dancers, which is the same costume that is worn by the Adorned West dancer, with the exclusion of the devoted headdress that is placed with the cloth of turban with a knot on the head center that is taking the shape of cobra.
The speciality of Naiyandi dancing is that this dance is primarily performed by the primitive Kandyan dance artists who have not yet been attained reverentially as a West dancer. And any dance artist who aspires to be crowned as a Kandyan West dancer would first need to master the skill of a Naiyandi dance in order to proceed.
Next, we can see the Muthu elephant from Muthiyangane Rajama Vihara with a brass umbrella and a cobra canopy on his mount.
And with that, we see the entrance of the Thalam dance group.
This troupe of Thalam dance are led by Mr. Nimesh Sumanaratna from Sri Chandananda Buddhist College.
The Thalam Pada, or the set of cymbals, are a vital instrument used in form of traditional dancing in Sri Lanka and also in India to maintain the pace and rhythm of a dance. That is technically mentioned as the Tit Matraya, but here we see the Thalam dance considers these small cymbals as the main prop itself, where the dancers play the cymbal in the denoted rhythm, which aligns the footwork and hand movements accordingly.
Kanishka, we can see these young performers dash these cymbals in a choreographed rhythm and perform a dance that creates both horizontal and vertical line movements in this space using the right moves that are designed in maintaining the cultural elements of the act.
The Thalam Pada is an instrument that is made out of metal and that is traditionally a mixture of brass and bronze, which once again reminds us how performing arts are not just only about the participants but the talent of the Perahera. But even the talented brass-smiths of Sri Lanka are celebrated in this great pageant.
The Thalam dance is classified as a folk dance of upcountry tradition where it does not connect with any healing ritual but instead picture a village lifestyle atmosphere with youth participating of the basic of dance. Now we can see the entrance of another majestic elephant with a brass umbrella on his mount.
And with that we see the entrance of the Rabang dance group in this procession.
This troupe of Rabana dancers are led by Mr. Janaka Rajapaksha.
The Rabana or the hand trampoline is a very popular object used in folk dancing tradition in Sri Lanka, which is known as Rabang Natuma.
There are many forms of Rabana in Sri Lanka. We have the Maharabana or Banku Rabana, which is a large drum that is played by multiple artists at the same time. The Virindu Rabana that is played while singing comical verses of Virindu, and the Athrabana, which we see now, that is the most prominently seen in the dance-related performances. We also hear a version of Karakavime Rabana or spinning turbine, which is in fact the same as Athrabana with a dent carved in its middle.
Indeed, Nethmini. If you notice closely, the Rabang dance involves Atmaru or changing the hands while performing this dance. and the tunes we hear being played by the dance orchestras are authentic recitals that are exclusively to the Rabang dance itself, which are known as Rabang Kavi.
Now we can see the entrance of two majestic elephants. On left, Kandulathis elephant from Sabaragamu Mahasaman Devale, and from right, Tharindu elephant from Kiriwehera, Kataragama.
And on the mount of them we can see two officials carrying the brass umbrella. On this year 2025, we are witnessing the grace of the 1715th Perahera that had begun during the reign of King Kirti Sri Meghavarna, who pledged that the relics must be carried around the city once a year, and this tradition still continues, followed by the many successions of kings, prime ministers and presidents of our country. And this is the majestic city of Senkadagala. And with that we see the entrance of the Kadu Natuma or the sword dance, which is not all meant to be to promote violence in this Perahera. That is meant to reflect the love, peace and care that is preached by the doctrine of Lord Buddha.
This troupe of Kadu dancers are led by Mr. Hasindu Gunabardhana.
This dance actually is meant to be a tribute and to illustrate the bravery of our ancient Sri Lankan warriors who risked their life to protect the Sri Lanka as a nation.
The dance is in fact a dramatic choreography of a dance which uses a prop of the kaduva or the sword and the paliha, which is the shield, where the dancers presents a fictional battle that is displayed using these choreographed dance steps, which are unique to the folk dance style of the upcountry tradition.
Netmini, if we look closely, one could notice how the facial expressions of these dancers show an abundance of bravery and courage to ignite the true momentum of this play.
And here is the entrance of another two majestic elephants. In left, Devmini Tusker from Sambodhi Vihara and Ganga Tusker from Gangarama Vihara, Colombo.
And this is the entrance of the Pantheru dance group in the procession of Sri Dalada Maligawa. The Pantheru is a musical instrument that is used as a rhythm tool across all the three traditions of upcountry, low country and Sabaragamuwa. But the Pantheru dance is exclusively belonging to the Udarata or the upcountry tradition of dance. Since the 18th century, the instrument was used for the development of semi-classical dance form, which is an art that was passed down from generation to generation.
Here we can see the Vijita Raja elephant from Dimbulagala Aranya Senasana.
And next up we are having the Keli dance performing troupe. Keli is also another interesting folk dance of the upcountry tradition that consists of performers having two wooden sticks on their hands, who shall dash them against to each other in a rhythmical way, where individually and even among pairs or at times as groups.
This troupe of Keli dance item is once again led by Mr. Nimesh Sumanaratna from Sri Chandananda Buddhist College.
Being a folk dance itself, this dance too sets a village picture for the audience, but the origin of the exact movements performed can be guessed as the ancient practices for war battles among the folk lifestyle, as the nature of the dance itself's word with Keli translates to battle.
Fast tempo that is performed in several episodes of the Lee Keli dance creates the sense of energy that truly creates a battle atmosphere, which once again connects to the folk dance with the previously told affiliations with warrior scenes.
Netmini, it is an interesting fact from history that in the ancient times, the sacred tooth relic had been considered as a private property of the king, and the public had never been permitted in having a chance of worshipping it. It was the thankful move by the King Kirtisri Rajasingha who declared that the relics need to be taken into procession for the public to witness and venerate in seek for blessings. Here we can clearly see the individual performances as well as even they are performing as groups, isn't it, Netmini?
Yes. Kanishka, now we can see the entrance of Punchi Banda elephant with two brass umbrellas on his mount.
Indeed, actually Punchibanda has travelled from Horana to the Senkadagala city to take part in this great procession. Traditional dancing in Sri Lanka is segregated into two main types, which are the Shastriya Natum or the dance performances that are based on healing rituals, and the other being Gami Natum or the folk dance performances. The dance that we see now is a remarkable fusion of not just one, but 4 different folk dance performances being danced simultaneously in the same spotlight.
Here, the mixed folk dance team is led by Mr. P.B.C. Vijaysurya. Here we see the dance artists presenting 4 different folk dances, which are the Thalam, the Keli, Rabana and the Savarang, which we would see being performed as individual dance items across all 5 segments of this majestic Perahera, and this dance act is certainly a snapshot of the beauty of Sri Lankan folk culture.
This procession is a true reflection of Buddhist worship, while it also presents a frozen image of the ancient service known as Rajakarya, where people of different occupational castes perform duties to the king in return for enjoying their utility of royal land and grants.
Here we can see the entrance of Indiraja Tusker, one of the majestic tuskers from Sri Dalada Maligawa.
And on his mount we can see an official carrying a cobra canopy. And this is the entrance of the second Naiyandi troop of the Sri Dalada Maligawa procession.
This troop of Naiyandi dance is led by Mr. Saman Nilvitha. The Naiyandi dance is said to be belonging the classification of Rupanatum, due to its visual richness in attraction, and this dance is also known as Uda West, meaning half of the West costume, and at times even known as Thani Kachi, that relates to the special head turban that is worn by the Naiyandi dancers.
Many professional Kandyan dancers who perform the West dance in Kohombakan, the main healing ritual of the upcountry tradition, are culturally not practicing the West dance elsewhere in social occasions. Due to the same reason, any such ritualistic West dancer who would only perform the Naiyandi dance in other social gathering events, just as the Perahera itself. And an important thing to notice about Naiyandi dance is Netmini, that this is one of the most unique dance performances of the upcountry tradition. And with that, in the distance we can see three majestic tuskers making their way in this great procession of the fifth and final Kumbal Perahera.
Of course, Kanishka, in left we can see the Sindhu Tusker from Malwadu Mahavihara, and in middle Kotte Raja Tusker from Kotte Raja Mahavihara, and in right Raju Tusker from Askiri Raja Mahavihara.
And on the mount of these majestic tuskers, we can see officials bringing the brass umbrella to add more color to the great procession of the Sri Dalada Maligawa Perahera. And here we can see Kote Raja accompanied by Sindhu Tusker and Raju the Tusker. And on this year 2025, we are witnessing the grace of the 1715th Perahera live via the special media and projects bureau of Sri Dalada Maligawa Kandy. And with that, the most unique and most recognized presentation of the Kandyan dancing heritage, that is the most fully adorned West Nat tour or the Kandyan West dancer. The Kandyan dancer's skill and dance form have been considered as an authentic expression of Sri Lankan culture.
This troupe of West dancers are led by Mr. Ishanta Ihalavela and Mr. Lasantha Vansekara.
Netmini, if you look closely on the past 5 days that we have seen the Kumbal Perahera, there have only been 2 West dancing troupes, and those 2 West dancing groups also have been only on the main Dalada Maligawa Perahera. But from tomorrow onwards, we will be seeing many West dancing troupes accompanying all the Devale Peraheras as well.
In fact, it is this icon of the West dancer who is branding identity of the traditional Sri Lankan dancing across the 7 seas, despite the presence of many artistic dance performances that are authentic to traditional Sri Lankan dance. It is amusing to hear that it is the same picture that is illustrated on anyone's mind when they are hear the phrase of Sri Lankan dance, which we could be certainly proud of.
The West dance is more than just a ritual. It is a sacred recitation for the protection against misfortune. Therefore, the costume of these dancers are also considered sacred. This most glamorous costume symbolically represents the regalia of King Malaya, the royalty who performed the ancient ritual of Hatapas Mangalaya, which is a healing ritual ceremony that was held 2500 years ago.
Kanishka, being a West dancer is not an easy deal, isn't it?
Indeed, Nitmini. Can you talk us through about it, please?
Yeah, Any primitive dancers needs years and years to practice and skill in order to be crowned as a West dancer. And they are only permitted to wear the West tattoo or the much respected headdress is only after they are religiously cornered as a West dancer, which is highly respected tradition that is even practiced in the modern day times.
Indeed, Nathmin. Dressed in the white Tuppotia costume, this is the Kariyakorala, who is the royal official that holds the responsibility for all engagements in regard to offering the Perahera and the Relic casket. He is the only seconded person to the Adorned Nilame and is the only person in the Perahera who has the permission to walk forward and backwards during the Perahera. The very special orchestra that leads the Relic casket are the Naga Singaram instrumentalists, which is an Indian origin influence ensemble of music that plays its authentic tune of music to escort the Relic casket as a part of the traditions that is conducted in Lord Buddha's origin country, India too. And this was added to the Perahera from the time of King Veera Parakrama Narendra Singha. We are now at the much awaited and most devout moment of the Perahera, as we see the royal Tusker Vasana ceremoniously carrying the Perahera casket guarded by the Dal elephants Singaraja and Pulatisi Raja. Let us now take a moment to feel the devotion and worship the sacred tooth relic of Lord Buddha. This is the chamber of versifiers of Kavikara Maduwa, the group of poets who walk behind the relic casket while singing the virtues of Lord Buddha. These versifiers are holding several instruments, including the Pantheru and the Utakya. And the speciality of Kavikara Maduwa is that these versifiers shall only perform when the relic casket is taken out of the relic chamber.
Here we can see another West dancing troupe is led by Mr. Sanjeeva Verapitiya and Mr. Peter Surasena.
West dancing was considered as a part of royalty itself, where it was formerly associated with the kings since the ancient times. When going down in history, the West dancer and the dance was performed in the time of Anuradhapura kingdom, and this had been rebranded as a Kandyan dance only after the royalty had shifted to the kingdom of Senkadagala.
The West dancers are traditionally honored by the kings since ancient times due to their role in disciplining unseen incomical forces. Even though the West dance is much popular in today's context as a performing art more than a ritual, the practice of gifting royal honor skills takes place. In fact, all these dancers customarily visits the president's house after the conclusion of the day Perahera, where selected artists are honored with the state award by H.E., the president of the Sri Lanka itself.
We now see the Basnayake Nilame of Sri Patini Devale, who walks with the utmost pride and majesty while bringing in the sense of true ancient royalty to this Perahera. The Basnayake Nilame shall walk under the Muthukudaya or the pearl umbrella, surrounded by his army of guards, and followed by the Vidani or the chieftains of the 10 associated villages of the Sri Dalada Maligawa. Now we are witnessing the commencement of the Sri Natha Devale procession.
The Sri Natha Devale in Kandy is located right in front of Sri Dalada Maligawa, where it is considered as the main shrine that is dedicated to the Lord Natha and one of the oldest buildings in Kandy that was built even before the Sri Dalada Maligawa.
And with that we see the entrance of the Buddhist flag bearers who are led by the Civil Defense Authority of Palekele. Nethmini, the procession of Natha Devale is the first to follow the Dalada Perahera, due to the belief that God Natha is next in line to attain Buddhahood.
Yes, it is an interesting fact, Kanishka. Now we can see the entrance of heavy troop in Sri Natha Devale procession, which is led by SYJ Vijay Sena.
The premises of Sri Natha Devale in Kandy is recognized since and known as Jayabhumiya, or the land with luck. Since the time of our ancestors, based on the indication by ancient Brahmin named Senkada, according to the legend, this sage Senkada had once visited this land and had witnessed a hare being chased by a pack of wolves. And with the flick of a moment, the hare had managed to chase the entire pack of wolves by just entering into this land of luck. Interestingly, it was because the same Brahmin that evolved the name of Senkadagala to the city of Kandy.
Just like how the heavy seat troop of Sri Dalada Maligawa procession engages in their own routine offerings, the heavy seat troops of the four Devale Perahera are the actual lineage who still perform in daily, weekly, monthly and annual rites and rituals of the particular Devalaya, as Hevisi is not just a part of Sri Dalada Maligawa's ritual, but it is also similarly important to the offering the Devala shrines as the main Shabda Puja or offering towards the respective god.
Indeed, Nethmini, interestingly, these tunes that are played by these ensembles are the ones that are unique to each respective Devalaya.
Now we can see the entrance of first elephant in Sri Natha Devale procession, the Kandul elephant, who owned by Mr. Dhammika Samrakkodi, the brother of the Mr. S.N. Roshan.
It is the tradition that the first elephant to take part in the procession of God Natha shall carry an official with a unique flag that is described as the flag of Senkadagala, which depicts an artistic visualization of God Natha. And with that we can see the entrance of Keli dance troupe of the procession of God Natha.
This troupe of Keli is led by HMP Upali Dharmaratna.
Apart from the Sri Lankan concept of Keli dance, Nethmini, we will identify an important version of this in our neighboring cultures as well. And some of them could be identified as Dandiya, which is the main folk dance of Gujarat state in India.
Yes, Kanishka, we can see the second elephant who is owned by Mr. Thilina Gamage.
And on his mount we can see an official carrying the Buddhist flag. And this is the entrance of the Savarang dance group of God Natha's procession.
This troupe of Savarang dancers are led by Mr. Dilshan Shalikar.
Dance items which involves these tassels are used quite often in Perahera, but this is not the usual Chamara dance which we witnessed on the earlier Kumbal Perahera processions. This dance, which is recognized as the Savarang dance, is similar to the Chamara dance but with a difference in the prop that is being used. The savarama, the main tool used by these dancers, consists of not one but two tassels attached on its ends, which makes it a longer version of the chamara instrument. However, the savarama too is meant to serve the same purpose as the chamaraya, which is to fan and cool the impending icon of worship, which was traditionally the king and today the relic casket or the reliquaries of gods.
Now we can see the entrance of Sumana elephant, who is from the Sambodhi Vihara owned by Boralande Jnanasara Thero.
Indeed, on his mount we can see another official who is carrying the flag of Buddhism. Nedmini, all these Buddhist flags that are carried on the procession of God Natha will give us the belief that God Natha is next in line to attain Buddhahood.
Obviously, Kanishka.
And with that we see the entrance of the Pantheru dance group of Lord Natha's procession.
Yes, Kanishka, this Pantheru dance troupe is led by Mr. Ruwan Marasinghe.
Going back to the history of Sri Mahanatha Devale premises, the Devale is believed to be built as an offering towards God Natha by King Vikramabahu III, and the royal buildings include the palace that had been built in its surrounding. The Devalaya is built in a form of a Gedige Devalaya, which is an Indian agricultural style during the Gampala era. That is the main shrine dedicated towards God Natha, and adjoining the main building is the smaller shrine that is dedicated to God Gambara.
Now we can see the Rohana elephant, who is owned by Mr. Varuna Kannangara.
Netmini, according to the legends of God Natha, the well-known fact behind God Natha is the belief that he is next in line to attain Buddhahood as Maitri Bodhisattva, where he is also identified as Avalokiteshvara in Indian cults. The iconography of God Natha is shown as a gentle young man of fair complex who holds a lotus flower on his left hand. He is in fact famed as one of the most dominant gods associated in the hill country.
Yes, Kanishka, next in line we can see the troupe of Naiyandi dancers, which is owned by Mr. Asanka Karunaratna.
The legend of god Natha takes us down through many cults in Buddhism, including the Mahayana and Theravada traditions, where he is predominantly associated as the future Buddha. In the Sri Lankan history, there are recorded evidence and mentions of god Natha in the Sandesha of Tisara, Gira and Koval, where god Natha was one of the prime deities who was seeked by the ancient kings of Sri Lanka. And we now see the chief trustee of Sri Natha Devale.
Now we can see the two Dala elephants known as Queni Tusker from Mr. Millagoda and Kandula elephant from Devalagama Dhammasinathero.
Now we are witnessing the commencement of the Sri Vishnu Devale procession. And now we see the state flag bearers of Sri Vishnu Devale.
The Sri Vishnu Devale in Kandy, that is also prominently identified as the Mahadevalaya or the Great Shrine, is main shrine in the hill capital that is dedicated to Lord Vishnu among the Satara Mahadevalaya in Kandy.
And now we see the first tusker of the Sri Vishnu Devale.
He is the Harita Tusker.
And this is the first heavy troop of the Sri Vishnu Devale.
The first heavy troop of Sri Vishnu Devale is led by Mr. Saman Priyanta Ambaragedara.
The Sri Vishnu Devale is located northeast to the Sri Dalada Maligawa, which is accessed easily via the Rajavidya and is considered as the most prominent religious site in Kandy, that is only seconded to Sri Dalada Maligawa. The Heavy group of Sri Vishnu Devale is notably special among all of the other Heavy troops that we see throughout this procession, based on the several importances. As we know, the inaugural ritual of Kandy Esala Perahera is the Kapsitavima, or the planting of the jack tree in the auspicious hour, and this piece of jack plant is being cut from the village of Alutnuwara, which is located on the footsteps of Kadugannava, which marks the entrance to the district of Kandy. And also this is known as the Alutnuwara Sri Dadimunda Devale, that is the main shrine in Sri Lanka that is dedicated to Lord Dadimunda.
Next in the line, we can see the Suranimala elephant, who is wearing in blue, which is the significant color of the Vishnu Devale.
And on his mount we can see two officials, one carrying the cobra canopy and the other the brass umbrella. And this is the entrance of the first Naiyandi dancing troupe of Sri Vishnu Devale procession.
This troupe of Naiyandi dancers are led by Mr. Sarath Ekanayaka. Now we can see another two elephants who are wearing in blue attire. In left in line, the Surani elephant, and the right side, Kottave elephant.
And on their mount we can see two officials carrying the cobra canopy as a respect to this great procession.
Next in line, we can see the troupe of Savarang dancers who are led by Mr. Ruwan Talgagoda. Among the diverse religious beliefs that are observed in this island nation of Sri Lanka, Lord Vishnu is a virtuous god who is popularly being worshipped by both Sri Lankan Hindu and Buddhist devotees.
Let me talking about the Savaran dance. The choreography of this folk dance that is style of the upcountry tradition is designed to symbolize fanning, that is performed using different dance steps, different stances, and the visual beauty that is created by these tussles in motion, which are absolutely smoothing to our eyes as well.
Obviously, Kanishka, next in line we can see another duo of elephants. Left in the line, Mudun Kotte elephant, and in right side we can see Damanupula Banda elephant.
Savarang dance is performed as a team, and just as other folk dances, this dance too shows several episodes of breaking down into subgroup performances as well. And the tune of which that is blown using these flutes is very mesmerizing as well. And these tunes we hear from these flutes are in fact specific poems that are exclusively written for Savarang dance, which are known as Savarang Kavi. And on the mount of these two majestic elephants, we see two officials carrying the brass umbrellas to add color to this magnificent procession of Lord Vishnu.
Yes, Kanishka, we can see the second Naiyandi dance troupe, who is led by Mr. Kondadeniya Samansiri.
Legends believe that God Natha is next in line to Buddhism, and after God Natha, Lord Vishnu is the future Buddha, which is the evident reason as to why we see the procession of Sri Vishnu Devale following the procession of Sri Natha Devale, according to the tradition of Kandy Esala Perahera. And Netmini, if you look closely onto the Lord Vishnu's perambulation, all the colors are blue color. The elephant dresses and most of the tones that goes in this procession. It is because Lord Vishnu is believed to be dark in skin tone, which is the reason why his illustration is shown in the color of blue.
Obviously, Kanishka.
And now we see the chief trustee of Sri Vishnu Devale.
Now we can see the Banda elephant, the godly ornaments on his mount, and in left side the Alapatha Tusker, and in right side Chodimanike Tusker.
Let us take a moment to feel the devotion. Now you see the commencement of the Sri Kataragama Devale.
we can see the Buddhist flag bearers from the Civil Defence Authority.
The Sri Kataragama Devale in Kandy is one of the key places of worship that are dedicated to Lord Kataragama in the city of Kandy. And the speciality of Sri Kataragama Devale being the only out of the Satara Devale or the four main shrines that is located outside the premises of Sri Dalada Maligawa, as it is located in the Kotugadalla Vidya, which was earlier known as Kavikara Maduwa in the ancient times, where the poets of the king had used to reside during the times of royalty.
Now we can see the very first elephant in Kataragama Devale procession, who is named the Bibila elephant, owned by Mr. Giriyulle Udaragalampatti.
And on his mount we can see an official carrying the Buddhist flag.
In line, we can see the first heavy troop of Sri Kataragama Devale. This troop of heavy dancers are owned by Mr. P.V. James. The Sri Kataragama Devale had been built during the reign of King Narendra Singha, who ruled the country from the year 1707 to 1739, where it was considered as a personal Devale shrine to the Kandian kings for their devotional rituals in order to receive blessings of Lord Kataragama.
The heavy group of Sri Kataragama Devale too is unique notable when compared to the other heavy troops due to the difference in its tone and tempo. The style of heavy not just depends on the region or the situational variances, but also varies among the several lineages that perform the traditional duty. This heavy troop that leads the procession of the Sri Kataragama Devale, that is, the hailings from the lineage of P.V. James Guru Nanse, is distinguished for its faster tempo that is similarly unique to the customs of the rituals affiliated towards Lord Kataragama, and also by carrying the large windpipe known as Kombu, which we did not witness in the other parts of the procession.
Followed by the heavy troop, now we can see the Hesar elephant, who is owned by Mr. Ajit Galage.
The opening representation of Sri Kataragama Devale Perahera are these unique flag bearers who showcase a different variety of flags. The flag that led earlier was an illustration of King Rabana, who is an ancient king of Sri Lanka. And the flags which are followed by the Rabana flag depict the peacock, who is recognized as the sacred bird of Lord Kataragama's cult.
Next in line, we can see the Pantheru dance, which is led by Mr. Hasit Ramanayaka.
Nethmini to continue with the legend of Lord Kataragama. According to the legend, the peacock who we see as the mount of God Kataragama is in fact a demon who was defeated by Lord Kataragama, who sincerely pledged for mercy from Lord Kataragama and was spared with the promise of serving Lord Kataragama as his divine mount.
Obviously, Kanishka. Kanishka, then in the next in line we can see the Hiruni elephant who is owned by once again Mr. Ajit Galage.
Lord Kataragama, or the god of war, is a divine deity who is worshipped as Kanda Kumara, Kartikeya or Murga in South Indian tradition. And according to legends, he is also considered as one of the most powerful deities who has an appearance of 6 heads and 12 hands, who sits on the peacock with its consorts Devana Amma and Valli Amma.
Up in line we can see the troupe of Pantheru dance. These Pantheru dance are led by Mr. Nimesh Jivantika.
Pantheru is an upcountry style folk dance, which is an act known for its faster tempo when compared to other folk dance acts that is performed in the country. The dancers hold a set of wooden splinters known as Pantheru on one hand, and they perform to the beat of the upcountry gatabere and the melodious flute while clapping these splinters on various designated parts of the body. Speaking of folk dances in Sri Lanka, we are able to notice several notable characteristics such as simplicity, the group collaboration, using of a prop, and enjoyment and recital of poems.
After the glamorous Pantheru dance, we can see the Paramune Tusker who is owned by Mr. Samantha Vijayamanna.
And on his mount, we see an official carrying the cobra canopy.
Next in line, we can see the troupe of Naiyandi dancers who are led by Mr. Maligawa from Maligawa Academy.
It is believed that Lord Kataragama is the younger son of Lord Shiva and goddess Parvati, and is considered as an important deity in the Indian subcontinent since the ancient times. Worshipped as Muruga in North India, and is predominantly worshipped in the state of Tamil Nadu and other parts of South India, Sri Lanka, Singapore, Malaysia as well. Another important fact about Lord Kataragama is that shrines dedicated to gods are referred to as Kovil or Devale in general in Sinhalese, but it has the differentiation based on the practice culture of traditions. Kovils are usually managed with pure Tamil cultured practices of Hinduism, while Devales have a certain degree of Sinhala Buddhist influence behind them.
Followed by the troupe of Naiyandi dancers, we can see another majestic tusker who is wearing the red attire, which is the iconic color of Sri Kataragama Devale.
And with that we see the entrance of the Thalam dance group of Sri Kataragama Devale procession. Let me need to talk about the Kataragama Devale in Kandy. It too has its practices of a variety of Tamil influenced ritual, such as the annual Theru festival that takes place annually in the month of June, and the chief priest or the Iyer, hailing from an original Indian who is from South India and Brahmanic lineage itself. But the Buddhist affiliation of the shrine is not less, especially with the administration headed by a Sinhalese Basnayake Nilame and the Buddhist temple that is located within the premises of the Devalaya. And it makes the shrine as a Devalaya instead of a traditional Kovil.
Now we can see another majestic tuskers named as Sita Tusker in left side, who is owned by Mr. Roshan, and in right side Kempitiya Tusker, who is owned by Mr. Anura Kempitiya. Followed by these tuskers, we can see the troupe of Naiyandi dancers. These troupe of Naiyandi dancers are led by Mr. Pradeep Nishankar.
According to the legends of Lord Kataragama is believed to be the divine force behind the ancient king Dutugamanu. In his battle against the Chola invaders of the Dravidian king Elara, the present Ruhunu Kataragama Devale was in fact the commitment of the vow that was made by King Dutugamanu, who built the Ruhunu Kataragama Devale. It's Esala festival that commemorates the divine marriage between god Kataragama and goddess Vali, and commanded that the procession needs to be held annually regardless of any circumstances. Still, the eternal existence of the sun and the moon. Unlike the other four Devale shrines, the chief priest or the Iyer of the Sri Mahakataragama Devale in Kandy is not a Sinhalese origin, but he is in fact an Indian national who is in the traditional Brahmanic lineage and is delegated to perform this venerative task since many generations, where it was his father who performed this duty before him. The Iyer is dressed in the traditional white attire during the Kumbal Perahera ceremonies and dressed in the grand red attire from the commencement of the Randoli Perahera tomorrow.
Today, the godly ornaments of Sri Mahakataragama Devale is mounted by the Rama Tusker, and as the Dale elephants, in left hand side Hadala Aruna Tusker, and in right side Esala Tusker.
Let us take a moment to feel the devotion and worship the godly ornaments. And this is the commencement of the Sri Patini Devale procession.
First in line, we can see the Buddhist flag bearers from the Civil Defence Authority. Next, we can see the troop of heavy sedans is led by Mr. M.P. Palithanishanka, Mr. M.G. Sirisena and Mr. M.G. Premadasa.
The Sri Patini Devale in Kandy is one of the only shrines of the Kandian Sattara Mahadevalayas that is dedicated to the virtuous goddess Patini, who is also the only female representation among the guardian deities of the sacred tooth relic. This Devalaya is located in the premises of the Sri Dalada Maligawa, which can be easily accessed via the Deva Vidya and is separated from the Sri Natha Devale from the ancient Athvidya, which was used for the resting ground for the royal elephants.
Patini Devale is located in the premises of the Sri Dalada Maligawa, which can be easily reached via the Deva Vidya and is separated from the Sri Natha Devale from the ancient Athvidya, which is used to be resting ground of the royal elephants.
Indeed, Netmini.
This is the entrance of the very first elephant, named as the Podi Raju, who is owned by the grandson of Mr. Gunaratna Bandara, Mr. Chamila Bandara Nayaka.
And on the mount of him we can see an official carrying the Buddhist flag. The male-dominated presence of artists that we saw previously is no longer visible, as we see the entrance of the female representation of the Perahera, which is indeed the speciality of the Sri Patini Devale Perahera. Being the only goddess that is venerated in this religious pageant, this segment of Perahera not just celebrates the virtues of goddess Patini, but it also celebrates the greatness of women and the values that they existence to this world.
Next in line, we can see the color dance. These troupe of color dancers are led by Mr. Lahiru Lakshan from the Ravi Prabha Academy, Murutalawa.
It is believed that the Devale dedicated to goddess Patini is at least 4 centuries old. as there was written evidence of a Perahera that had been held during the reign of King Rajasingha II. According to the folklore, the statue of goddess Patini at this Devalaya was brought from the Maligawa Patini Devale during the time of King Vimaladharma Surya I.
Followed by color dance troupe, we can see the Kulu dance troupe, which is led by Mr. Hemantha Sri Ratnakumara.
Let me need to continue with the legend of goddess Patini and the Devalaya premises. Even today, the statues at the Maligawa Devalaya and the Kandy Devale look similar, and this evidence suggests that the Sri Mahapatini Devale in Kandy goes back to the 16th century in history. Goddess Patini is also affiliated as the goddess of prosperity, and the said virtue of prosperity is symbolized in Perahera in the form of this agrarian dance that depicts the roots of prosperity in our economy.
Next, we can see the second elephant of Sri Mahapatini Devale procession, Palmadulle Ratna, who is owned by Bengamuye Dhammatinda Nayaka Thero.
And on the mount of him we can see an official carrying the cobra canopy as the respect given to this great perambulation of Kandy Esala Perahera 2025.
Followed by Palmadulle Ratna, now we can see the Thalam dance troupe, which is led by Mr. Anura Pradeep.
The Thalam dance is classified as a folk dance of upcountry tradition, where it does not connect with any healing ritual, but instead pictures a village lifestyle atmosphere with youth practicing the basics of dance. The popularity of Thalam dance performance is indeed remarkable, based on its simple yet elegant atmosphere of folk traditions. Since Thalam is in fact a dance performance which we are able to witness in many Perahera ceremonies that are organized around the country.
Now we can see the mixed dance troupe, which is led by Mr. Shashika Helakumara.
The cult of goddess Patini narrates many amazing stories which are all part of the legend of this great goddess. One of the most interesting out of such legends is her birth story, which is popular as Sat Patwini, where it reveals the 7 different ways in which she had been born, which include the stories of goddess Patini be born out of a mango, a dewdrop, cobra tear, Demeter flower, shawl, fire and lightning. The cult of Sat Patini is also challenged with a different variant which illustrates 12 births known as Dolos Patini Upata.
As stated before, goddess Patini is much popular among Sri Lankans due to her power in curing diseases among women and small children. This is the same reason many of Sri Lankan low country healing rituals, according to Gam Maduwa, Deval Maduwa and Pahan Maduwa, have accepted its protagonist deity as goddess Patini.
Netmini, it can be noticed how these dancers holding various tools that are used for the agricultural activities as the main prop of this dance. We see the kalaya or the pot that is being used for watering purposes, and the cooler or the sleeve that is used for the separation of good grains. And also we can see the other dancers being as used as prop in here, which completes the picture of a typical agricultural lifestyle.
Yes, Kanishka, once again we can see another elephant who is owned by Bengamue Dhammadinna Nayaka Thero is Palmadulle Chola.
And on the mount of this majestic elephant, we see an official carrying the brass umbrella.
Followed by Palmadulle Chola, now we can see the Rabana dance troupe, which is led by B.G. Chamali Jayaratna from Rekha Academy, Yatihalagala.
The Rabana is at times recognized as a drum of phosphority, belonging to the Athatha classifications of traditional musical instruments. Both the Rabana and the other instruments which are used to get the sound of this popular tune, which are the drums played only using bare hands, are used in the agricultural entertainment and ritualistic activities in the village setup. Similarly, the Rabana also takes a great dominance during the Sinhala and Tamil New Year celebrations, where Rabana is used to communicate the festival occasions such as the dawn of the New Year, commencing of dealing and consuming of meals, to name a few. The Rabang dance involves Atmaru or changing the hands while performing this dance, and the tunes we hear being played by the dance orchestras are authentic recitals that are exclusive to Rabang dance itself, which are known as Rabang Kavi.
Next in the line, we can see the Savarang dance troupe, which is led by Miss Nelka Vijayanayake from the Nelka Academy, Murutalawa.
These tassels are not artificial crafts. In fact, this is known to be the tail hair of the Semara deer who lives in the tip of the Himalayan mountains, which is used as the fanning tool of the royalty since the very ancient times. Nethmini, it is believed that there is still no cooling breeze than the air fanned by the Semara tail, and this is why the fanning using these tassels are sometimes also known as Semara Salima.
Obviously, Kanishka.
Nethmini, for Sri Lanka, this is a devotion, and this is the same reason why we see very young to very old of people taking part in the Perahera to give their best, and this is a true good sign for the future of Perahera as well. From this dance item, we can see the devotion of these very young towards this procession, that how devotional and how dedicational that they are. The shrine devoted to goddess Patini in Kandy is a simple, small rectangular building on the usual stone platform. It consists of 4 compartments, including the traditional Kandyan roof, adorns, golden entrance to the chamber, and the charming elegance that makes this Devalaya a simple but most beautiful shrine that is home to many devotees who flock to the Kandyan kingdom.
Next in line, we can see the female tusker named as Tangovita Manike, who is owned by Mrs. Sriyani Gunawardana.
And on the mount of this majestic elephant, we see an official carrying the brass umbrella. And with that, we see the entrance of the Naiyandi dance troupe of Sri Maha Patini Devale in this great procession of the last Kumbal Perahera 2025.
Yes, Kanishka, this troupe of Naiyandi dancers are led by Mr. Mithun Bandara from Mithun Bandara Academy, Wattapuluwa.
Netmini, as I mentioned earlier, in addition to the shrine dedicated to goddess Patini in Kandy, we also witness a shrine made towards goddess Durga in the same premises. The current building that we see is believed to be built by King Narendra Singh during his reign from 1707 to 1739.
Next, we can see the tusker who is mounted the godly ornaments, Mr. Giriyulle Mangala, and as the Dale tuskers, we can see the Giriyulle Kanchana and Mirigama Sita tusker.
Let us now take a moment to feel the devotion and to worship the godly ornament of goddess Patini. And that marks the end of the 5th Kumbal Perahera of Kandy Esala Perahera 2025. We hope that our country will be blessed with fertility and rains. May our country prosper. Dalada Samidu Pihitai.